Greetings and salutations, everybody. I'm back with a little bit of a different kind of video this time, as I'm covering something that is very new. A film which just had a theatrical release around my parts, and I finally got around to checking out now that it's available on streaming. That being Talk to Me from 2022. Now, this one stars mainly people I don't know. I'm not familiar with. It's an Australian production. The only one who I knew of in this film, it was Miranda Otto, who I know from Lord of the Rings and The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina from Netflix. But it finally made its way to my neck of the woods here, which is why, even though it's 2023, this is technically a 2022 film. But what is this film about? Well, the synopsis is as follows. When a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand, they become hooked on the new thrill until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. So, that's just about all that I knew kind of going into this one. Was that had something to do with people performing some sort of a seance, and then things go badly. It tends to happen in these horror films when, especially with the younger crowd, if, they'll take things too far, taking too many risks for this excitement. And that really happens in full force in this one. Now, they decide to try this ritual, which involves holding this hand, lighting a candle and saying, "Talk to me." They can see the spirit that they are conjuring, and also during this time, they can choose to invite somebody in. So basically, they are obviously being possessed by whatever this spirit is, and they have to have a little time limit set to say nothing more than a certain amount of time, then we got to blow out the candle and end this ritual. Otherwise, some dangerous things can end up happening. Now, these kids have seen clips of this challenge online, seeing the reactions of other kids trying this challenge, and they laugh it off and they want to try it themselves. But what really stuck to me about these kids were exactly how cruel they were, just about each other. If somebody doing the ritual is anywhere from just being very uncomfortable to being downright traumatized, they laugh it up, tease, and jump to wanting to post it on social media to embarrass the person who was affected by it. But of course, along with this cruelty, comes some really bad stuff that happens, and now this evil associated is kind of unleashed, and they have to find a way to undo the horrors that they just unleashed. Now, more details come out throughout the film about what exactly this ritual is, how it came to be, and what they will hopefully be able to do to try to fix the situation. But throughout this, we also get several other aspects kind of brought in along the lines of the relationships that some of these characters have with each other, some past traumas, and so on. And a little bit more on that in a moment. But this film has gotten a lot of attention for being truly frightening. Something special that has kind of stuck out and received more and more attention. But does it live up to the hype? Well, yeah. Surprisingly enough, it does. Now, on its surface, I keep falling back into this feeling of like Witchboard or Ouija or, any number of films where people think it's fun to kind of mess with the other side and they get more than they bargained for. And now that's the whole plot, is how do they get out of the situation? I kept thinking, I know exactly where this film is going, and that's fine. I've seen it many times before and I've enjoyed it. I like it. It's all good. Though I don't know why this one was getting more attention than some of those other films. But then something else would sneak in. In part, the relationships that some of these characters have with each other and those past traumas that I mentioned. And then something else will come in. More about, what is happening when they tinker with that dark side and what is happening in that dark side. And that made me think, okay, this is why it's getting all the notice lately, and people are right. This is going a little bit beyond what we've seen with some of these tropes before. And it got to this point where I had really no idea where they were even going to be able to go with it, in that, although I was entertained by it, and, I had no idea how they were actually going to be able to wrap this one up. It was just crazy. But by the time we really get, to that ending, though there are some ups and downs throughout, there's definitely major downers in this one. Think of the film Oculus, where I had one friend really hate that film because he didn't like the ending. It was too much of a downer. It made him feel unsettled. But for me, I love that aspect. If I finish a horror film and I feel like crap afterward, I know that they succeeded in really trying to terrify me. I may not rewatch that kind of film very often. I may rewatch it once or twice more in my life, versus something more fun like Return of the Living Dead or Trick or Treat or Killer Clowns or any of even like some of the current slashers. I can rewatch those a lot more because they don't feel as horrible afterward. There's all these different levels of horror. Some people want to be grossed out. Some people just want jump scares. Some people want something really elevated and more psychological. But for me, this one had a lot of those downers and a lot of those scares that really kind of sunk in. It really delivered. And I spent a whole whopping $6 to rent this one, and it was worth every penny and lived up to the hype of at least being, more than worth checking out. And speaking of checking out, thanks for checking out this latest video and sticking around to the end, as it really helps a lot. So talk to me. At the time of this video, is available on paid rental. Is pretty much the only place that I've seen it. It's only about $5 or $6, depending on what level of quality you rent and from what service. But we get some really nice beats throughout. We get a great hook at the beginning. We've got 25 minutes in, things really open up. At the 45 minutes in, things get a bit crazy, and by an hour and 10 minutes, it's any thoughts that I had about it being good but not worth the hype really faded away, and I totally got it. And by the end, I was so glad I watched this one, because it was frightening, it was creepy, it did have some original ideas kind of thrown into the mix here along with some of those tropes, and it's definitely worth checking out in my opinion. But what about you? Have you seen this one? If so, sound off in the comments, tell me what you thought about it. And thanks for coming by, and I will see you in the next one.